I need some traction. You need some traction.
Hey everyone, Lloyd Lobo here, co-founder at Boast AI and Traction. Today's webinar is brought to you by Boast AI Launch Academy in partnership with Growth Blazers, Founder Institute, Lazarides Institute, and BCF Ventures. I'm super excited here today. Fantastic entrepreneur. Martin Basiri is the CEO and co-founder of ApplyBoard, the world's largest online platform for international student recruitment. They've grown super fast to over 500 employees in 20 plus countries, assisting more than 80,000 students with their educational journey. And they've had this really hyper growth trajectory here, raising multiple rounds of funding in the last year during a pandemic, valuing the company at 1.4 billion. And, I think it was 2019, you were named one of the fastest growing technology companies, ranking number 1 on the Fast 50 list. And personally, Martin's a fantastic human being. When Boast was closing our Series A, I reached out to Martin for advice because he knew one of our lead investor who had just joined the fund. And Martin was very gracious with his time. And he gave me the ins and outs of how you pick a VC partner. And literally, I think you said, if you're asking about this guy, take the money. We'll spend 5 minutes talking about that, and the rest we can shoot the shit. So he's been very, very gracious, and that shows, right? If you help enough people get what they want, you'll get everything you want. And he's not only a great entrepreneur, but a great human being. Thank you for joining us, Martin. How are you today? How is 2021 treating you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you very much for having me here. And 2021, so far, so good. A bit cold, but you know what? We like it here.
Definitely. And before we jump into things, introduce us to ApplyBoard. You've effectively pioneered a whole new industry. I didn't even think about this space really, right? And it's been super successful. Give us the backstory. What made you start the company? What else did you consider before you landed on this? Give us the intro.
Yeah, for sure. So first of all, I tell you why we're doing it. We are doing it to democratize access to education, because let me tell you the magnitude of the problem. So in today's world, 1 out of 15 people should be in a higher education at any time. And that is giving us something around 50% of adults going to universities. Even for us to achieve 50%, which for example, for Canada is 54%, we need to have, in the world of 7.5 billion people, we should have about 500 million people studying in higher education. The real number right now is 160. And this 160, you could see 50% in countries like US, Canada, Australia, all Western countries. And when you go to the other countries, you start seeing percentage like 10%, 20%. It's incredible. 340 million people, they cannot be in a school. We are talking about every single day, 1 million people need to go to school that they're not going. We are talking about 10 times the population of Canada. These are the people that they need to be in a school and they're not. And we are basically trying to solve this problem. So every kid around the world, they could have access to a good higher education. But how did we land on this? I'm from Iran. So do a lot of Iranians. We have pretty good bachelor degree if you are very, very hard studier. So if you are top 2001 or 2000 of 500,000 people, you can go to what you want to study. Otherwise, really, you kind of ruined your life. So I got lucky on my bachelor. I did study well, and I also had some points. But when it comes for my master's, only 4% of people can go to a good grad school. And in a country like Iran, education is kind of a must. It's not like you get your bachelor degree and you could still have some level of good life. So for that, I had a lot of inventions and stuff. So I applied for University of Waterloo. I get accepted. I came to Canada. From Pearson, I was going to like north of Toronto, where my uncle live. And on the airport, I was like, this is life. I love it. I was feeling positivity from day one. I landed to Canada, so I started planning of bringing my brothers. And so this process of going abroad is so hard. I've redone it for both of my brothers, and they came at the age of like 18, which was kind of like a shocking for Iranians. And so a lot of people start messaging us, can you also help me? Can you also help me? So we helped them. And then we are not doing it anymore. Couple of years later, now I finished University of Waterloo. I got my master's of engineering. I'm in the US. I'm working. I was like, I want to get back to entrepreneurship stuff because I used to do those things back home in Iran. And I quitted my job. I didn't have any idea. So I said, let me go back to do helping other students to make some money. And the first students I helped called my brothers and said, I think we should automate this. And that's how ApplyBoard started. And the first 1 or 2 years, we were just doing business like everyone else, just trying to solve a problem. And after that, when the students started coming to Canada and US with the help that we were doing, and I started talking to those people, I started falling in love. I started falling in love how much we changed their life. And then our trajectory changed from running a business to running an art, you know, to having fun every day, having an impact on hundreds of people on a daily basis, changing their life. And every day it goes, I fell in love with ApplyBoard more and more, and I get more positive energy about what it does, to the level that I say, even if one day everything is stopped, the whole thing vanish, then what happens, I don't mind at all, because during this journey I helped thousands and 10,000s of like people, me and my team. And I think that's enough pride for the rest of my life.
That is a fantastic story, fantastic journey. So, what did your early customer development look like? Right, you said, I'm gonna automate this process. You've helped thousands of people, but like, who are like your first like 10, 20 people to go through this process? Because it's like a marketplace in a way. There's multiple people involved, right?
So we didn't know what to do, so we started from the student side. I remember I was going to one of the university's library in the morning, all the way to like night, till they were kicking me out. And I was on the phone in one of those study rooms, lock myself on the phone, talk to hundreds of people from Afghanistan all the way to Chile and Argentina, trying to convince them for our service. This is before we even have a product or something. I kind of get a sense of like, what is the problem? We were chasing a different problem, but at the start we were thinking it's a product that students pay for the service, and then we figure it out. It's a product for the students, but a school's willing to buy it because they want also to get the students, and we recognize the other side. I would say, if I want to say one answer, I would say hustle. We just hustled our way up. We work double everyone else, and we called 4 times everyone else. We got a lot of rejection, and we say, okay, it's okay. So we kept continue and doing it and doing it. Early days was so tough because, first of all, everyone was laughing at us for what we are doing. And it wasn't something that resonated, especially for the investors in North America, because a lot of investors, they go to like Stanford and Harvard and Yale and those, and they were like, why someone from Bangladesh, for example, sell their apartment and their parents' retirement to come to go, for example, to a college in Canada? It was not connecting. Like, hey, because there's no university for that person back home. And they were like, why don't they come to Stanford? Like, we're talking about 340 million people. Stanford is taking like maybe like 30 undergrad international per year. You're talking about 300 million. So it was not resonating. So it was very tough from 2015, April or May when we started, till March 2018. It was only hardship. Like like 3 years, we went to the hardest time of our lives. We were almost like bankrupt. Everything was bad. because results are also not coming. We were trying different things.
The sort of drunken founder journey, the 3 years, they're almost there and they're not quite there. And it's hard. But during that time, did you think maybe that, or looking back, maybe I would have started on the other side of the marketplace and not with the students first? Or you think this going after the students first and creating the demand was a good move?
We basically had to go through multiple customers, their students, their counselors, and the universities at the same time.
Okay.
So it wasn't ever, so at some point, we had more students than, or more recruiter than the university, and then it flipped. So no, I don't have a regret. I think we done it very naturally. Yeah. We didn't have a KPI of saying this has to be there. And we were like, okay, we just like answer the customers and we go with the flow. Sometimes that we had too much of supply, low demand, or vice versa. It kind of balanced each other. So I have no regret. If I go back, probably I would do it fluid as we've done it the first time.
That's fantastic. And you talk a lot about fluidity, and we'll dive into it. But what happened in March 2018? Like, how did you say, like, I got product market fit, or this is it, let's explode from here?
The January semester of 2018. So, every year is 3 semesters. We had equal to the entire history of ApplyBoard to that point, number of students who showed up by a factor of 2. So in 1 month, we've done more than last 3 years multiplied by 2. Then I went and I started fundraising, and we got from raising 50K to 50K in the last 3 years. We raised I think 11 million USD or something, Series A. And from that time, we started thinking long term. Now we were not worried about if the next quarter we could afford people or not. We started hiring people. We started doing. But if I go back, I'm not gonna change that 3 years. I think the first 3 years of hustle and sweat and sleeping on the couch and not having home or money or anything, it just built the taste of success further on for people. It just made it more tasteful. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go back. I'm happy that we didn't get funded for the first couple of years, and it was so hard, because now I enjoy it more. If it was easy, maybe I wouldn't not enjoy it as much as more as right now. It was so hard, and I'm happy about it, that it was hard.
Definitely. And pain is the precondition for growth, right? If you look at the last recession there, Airbnb, Uber and stuff came out of it. But there's another lesson here, is it forces you to be frugal and think creatively when you have no money. When you start a company from day one with other people's money, you're just running an experiment and you're like, if it fails, it fails, whatever. Like some people can get that mentality. And sometimes more people die from indigestion than starvation, right? And this like really helps you become resilient. You talked a lot about fluidity, and I had this question on milestones. What is your next big milestone, or was there ever a time in your journey where you had a no-go or go-no-go time frame? And then you talked about, I like to be like water and make it fluid, and every day must be better than the next day. Walk us through that mindset.
Guys, like, remember, I was Iranian. Even, for example, till end of 2016, my brothers were still on visa and their visa was expiring. So we didn't even have a permanent residency. So people I was going to people and pitch, and they were like, pitch for money. And this is like a year and a half into it. And people are like, buddy, in 9 months, you have to leave the country. You are asking me to like give money to you. And I my accent was thicker. So there are a lot of reason for people not to fund us, and a lot of uncertainty. And we were just thinking, you know what? It doesn't matter. Even if we only have 9 months to stay here, let's to the last day hustle. And then if it doesn't come back, I come. But finally, like our immigration from the Canada side got solved. I'm saying it in a positive way, but there's a dark side about it too. So it was some bias about the whole immigration. And this is like, think about it, this is 2016, where especially in the US, the thing changed. So there were a lot of bias. Why do we need more immigrants, especially earlier on of the last administration in the US, it was a lot of like things about against Iranian, because when Trump came, it was a lot of like Iran was in the news every day. So people were like, where are you from? I was like, I'm from Iran. And like a third of the whole VC time was going to gone on talking about politics. Hey, do you think this guy's saying right or that guy's? So I had a lot of like big disadvantages. And that, and in my life, it was like also same. You know, we grow up in a lower middle class family with no money, and we had to like doing it. And that's where the fluidity come from. Uh, Fluidity is like you kind of control what you have in your hand to control, and you kind of like believe in luck and a kind of like a, I don't call it destiny, and like a positive energy coming back from the board. I had one mentor was saying, good things happen to good companies. That's why like I don't put like very rigid milestones of, oh, by first year, for example, by end of 3 years, we should be there. I'm more about like, hey, if we solve the problem and if the basics are good and if the culture is good, if the company have the cash, if we build the right company and we are solving a real problem and we are getting customer satisfaction, result comes after that. And instead of being the focus on the company that, hey, we are result oriented. Don't take me wrong. We also have goals. We do the planning, but it's like more on, let's see what happens, you know, kind of like whatever happens, happens, you know. I don't have control on the whole world and market. That's why like whenever something happens, I try to like hustle it up. And if it works, works. If not, you know.
You can have the big goals, but you got to try to control what you can control and be a little better every day, because it grows from there. How do you acquire customers today? I'm curious, what like channels are working? Is it word of mouth? Is it ads? Is it referrals?
We don't do ads, not a single dollar ads.
That's amazing, because ads can be a drug.
all from channel marketing, word of mouth, outbound, inbound, email marketing.
How big is your sales and marketing team? Probably.
Today or yesterday?
So let's
because
say,
when you were like introducing the company, it was, you said like 500. We were like 750 now. I was like, when did he talk to my team? And when you said like we helped 80,000, I think the current number is like 140,000.
Wow.
So I believe something 250 people.
And then when you raised your first round, first 11 million or so, like, you know, let's call it like a super seed round, because you had small amounts before that. Who are the first people you hired? How do you think about like, how do I now unpack and scale this? Or maybe it feels like so far off that you can't even remember.
We hired, like first we started hiring people, engineers, because it was the first time we could afford paying someone like a salary that they don't like come back and slap us in the face on the offer. And a lot of like that frugality kind of like a stick to us, as like right now we are giving like very competitive, but somehow like people still think it is like that time. Because we really didn't have any money. We were like we were living out of nothing. Just to tell you guys, when we got one $300 million acquisition offer in 2018-ish. Yes, in 2018. And by then, I think 3 of us together was not even making $8,000 before tax, not even after tax. Wow. So we are living on each other's homes, and it was crazy. Like we were trying to really save every single dime for the company to be able to hire. But after the first fundraising, which was our Series A, hired engineers. I don't think we hired sales and marketing any particular path and strategies. Everything, again, was going naturally. We never pivoted or anything. It was always going naturally.
So why didn't you sell the company? Like, I mean, you got like 3 broke brothers here, almost on the verge. You raised your Series A at 11. 300 million is a pretty big valuation. What stopped you from selling the company? Because this is important, right? I
have a snapshot of my bank account that day. I had 1,408 Canadian dollar in my bank account. Out of that deal, I think me, Mehdi, and Masi, we were like walking out with 100 million USD cash plus another 100 stock to stick around with the new company.
Wow.
So this is what happened. You want to know the truth?
Yeah,
So
let's hear the truth.
I already knew that I'm not gonna take it. Wanted to do it. It was fun. Why shall I go to the other thing? So before that, I went to the other company before they come with a price. I looked at it, and that company was a little thing. When I was walking around, I was like, it kind of like it didn't feel right. I was like, because they wanted me to also be the CEO of the joint company. So now ApplyBoard, I think we were 80 people, and the other company was like 500 people. So that was one thing. I came down to, we had a small room called India. This is our last office. I went and I remember Mehdi just came. Mehdi is my brother. So Mehdi and Masi are twin brothers. We three of us started a company together. I went to Mehdi. He said, hey, this is their last offer stuff. And Mehdi traveled a lot because he'd run the sales and marketing. So he goes to different countries like before pandemic. And he was like, I bought this $5. My pants are $20. My shoes are like $40. Why do I need this money? That was it. In 2 hours, we get back to them and said no. And Matthew was kind of angry at us that why are you guys even talking about this? You know how much of more features and things we have to build, we didn't do it. What if we go, they don't allow us to build what we want to build? So that was a conversation.
So this is a very important lesson here, right? I guess in life and in business, there's two things that are key that I'm hearing here. One is passion versus transaction. If you treat everything like a transaction, I need so much money to get to the next milestone, whatever. You may be enthusiastic about it and lose that enthusiasm. But if you're really, really super passionate about a problem, that transcends, right, companies, and that it's like you're on this mission and you're committed in the heart and the mind. And the other thing is relationships. So the good thing is you have three brothers here, so you guys are all aligned, hopefully. And relationships also transcends companies and ideas, right? So passion and relationship is the key lesson. I want to jump into
fun.
And fun. Yeah, of course. If you're miserable doing
every day you wake up, think about it. Let's say you would have sold a company. What do you do for $100 million? Think about it. So you have to have a plan to spend it. And then you have to have a plan to invest it. We are not a spender type of guys that go and say, hey, we would have go buy a big mansion in Florida and have yacht. That's not my type. So then it would have been investing. What type of company invest? I like ApplyBoard, it's going well. So let's invest in that one. And by the way, I'm in the control myself. So I think the real question is the fun part. If you are having fun what you do, even though it's the hardest thing, then you say, okay, so if I'm selling it, I'm not gonna have this much fun. So why shall I sell it? It's fun. I'm doing something that I like in my life. I always think about the word of when I'm 90 years old and I have all my grandkids and grandkids around me, and I'm telling them my life story. Am I smiling at day? Am I proud for what I've done in my life? Or I'm just talking about, oh yeah, I got rich. So what? Probably my grandkids don't even care about it. So I want to tell them a story that I feel proud of that. So when I'm dying, I just die with a smile, When I have every day of my life, I have a smile on it, even if it's the hardest day.
And that's what every time I've seen you, you're always smiling. I want to take one audience question here. What makes your company unique in the tech education sector? I mean, you have you could literally dominate this industry that you've pioneering here, right? There's lots of opportunities, but what makes you unique in this sector that you're growing like weeds?
What makes ApplyBoard unique is every single one in the company is progressive. So our sales team innovate, our engineering team innovate, our administration team innovate, everyone thinking outside of the box. And I didn't realize how much it is till now that I start seeing from every point of the company, innovation is coming. I think that's the number one. And I think the other thing is people are very, very connected with the mission. They also you remember I told you I started this as a business and as a startup, and then I start seeing the students come and I was like, oh my God, I really changed this guy's life. Like I had one of the students come to company. He took bus 6 hours to get to where we are. He came and said, "You guys saved my life." It's like, what do you mean? Like we helped you to come. It was like, you don't know. I wanted to kill myself. I was that upset in life. No hope, nothing. One day I see you guys on Instagram. I applied. I'm here. I'm so active. I don't take my medication anymore. I'm going to gym. I already secured an internship. Like you guys saved my life. And think about it, like what else I could do in my life that someone sits in front of me and say like, you saved my life. So I think that's a very high benefit ApplyBoard has. And I always like challenge people, like anyone in our list, if you ask them, why are you here? I can guarantee that everyone like giving you the same answer of, we are here to make this possible, to help these 340 million people that they're not in a school. So they can also go to school. You know how good of the world is if everyone get educated? You know how much of racism go down? You know how much of world can collaborate more? You know how many more engineers we need in this world? You know how much of technology would advance if for every students we have in a school, now you make it 3 times. Means 3 times more engineers, 3 times more scientists, 3 times more people that know about the world and everything else. We're gonna be so beautiful. Future gonna be so bright. So I think that's the thing about unique about ApplyBoard.
What doesn't connect with a lot of people probably living in North America is I'm an immigrant myself. I was a refugee of the Gulf War. Then we moved to Canada. My parents are from India. They were working in Kuwait at the time. In countries outside of North America, education is like, the highest bar, right? Like you get your grades. Can you get into engineering or become a doctor? Can you do your master's kind of thing? And it's very hard to get opportunities, especially in like Asia and the Middle East, particularly India and Middle East, is if you don't have a certain bar of education. So it makes it quite hard. And so I completely connect with this, right? Because I almost dropped out of high school, and so I know, like, you're not gonna get a job, and like everyone's gossiping about you, and it's not just you, but it's the community around that makes it miserable for you, and you're like, I'm a failure. And so I can completely connect. But beyond this, I think it shares, you provide a great lesson here on people and culture, is that the most important thing is not the money, it's to have a mission and to have passion for that mission. Because if the founders and all the leaders are passionate for that mission, it will go in through all the employees and the people that you hire, and everyone is bought into that mission. And you got to reiterate that over and over. And so that's a fantastic lesson here. I want to go into some fundraise. How long of a runway until revenue will start to match valuation? Like, how do you think about that?
What is called a value of a company is a value of a company, not the revenue of the company. So revenue, valuation, I know investors try to match these two at the formula, like it used to be 10x of ARR or 40x of ARR, but over time, it's sure what makes a good company is what makes a huge valuation. But a good company solving a big problem, a good company doing innovation while solving a very big problem. A big company gonna have access a lot of data. A good company do things in other way. A good company learn where they are to unlock the access to the human being. So focus on that part, not the revenue part, because if it is a good company, one of the characteristic of it is it's also create a very good revenue. It also create a very good growth rate. Still, the fundamental of a good business didn't change since 18th centuries. A good business is where it solves a real problem, and customers love that solution, and the why is there, and they can attract the right people. If all these elements is there, anytime the revenue shaft is open, it comes. So that's how I would approach what is the valuation thing. And valuation is not really something, it's not a goal or something, right? For example, me for our funding, I had to bring our valuation because of the pandemic down like $900 million. And I don't even regret it for a second, because valuation is just like what market pay at that time. Depends. What matters is the money that you get on that valuation. How are you going to utilize it to make your good company a better company, make your great company a fantastic company, to get your fantastic company to an excellent company, to make your excellent company to a fabulous company. That's what matters.
Since we started with valuations here, let's go right into fundraising during a pandemic. You mentioned that you had some great investors who, you needed to close your Series C, and you emailed them or contacted them on a Sunday night or Saturday night, and they wired you the money on the Monday, right? So let's start here. How did you decide when the right time is to raise, and how did you build relations and pick the right investors for you? Because picking the right investors is key. And this is something you gave me advice on before we took the money from Radiant Capital and Chris, and you spoke very, very highly of him, which is one of the key factors on why we went that direction. So how do you, I think no one knows better than you, suffering for 3 years and now saying that I have investors who I contact on a Saturday night or Sunday night, and they borrow money even to put money in our company by Monday. How did you decide when to raise, and how do you find the right investors?
2016, you remember I said if you're almost to the edge of bankruptcy, we had to let a couple of people go. And our team was like 16 people, and we came down to like 11 or something like that. I think 6 people we let go. Till day, that was one of the hardest days in my career. That because the lack of cash, I had to let good people go. And it just stuck with me. And actually, back to the last question, I always want to have years of runway in my bank account, because cash brings stability. And that's what happened during the pandemic. Before the pandemic, we had a term sheet at $2.2 billion signed term sheet. And then we got another term sheet at $1.8 billion. And then pandemic happened. Investors start their interest, they go. And I was like, who cares? I already signed term sheet. And the guy that did up to 2.2 billion valuation, he called and said, our LPs or whatever, hey, I can't, sorry, man, bank, phone drop. And I looked at it. I was like, what if this is like a 2008? Like if pandemic goes and borders get closed, and this is before March 16 that actually government went ahead and closed the borders, my business is to bring students internationally. What's gonna happen is I'm not gonna lay off people because we don't have money or something. And remember, even within that time, I had all the money that we raised for Series B is still in the bank. So we still had like 2 years of run rate, but it meant we couldn't grow. So I went back to investors and I reduced the valuation. I said, hey, instead of this is the amount that is on term sheet, if I bring it lower, what is the lowest I can go? He said this. I said, what is that valuation? We agreed on the valuation. We shook hands. It was Thursday afternoon. And he said, look, I have a Monday morning call with the partners. I have to deliver them the news that you cannot raise the total. So, and I'm going to tell them that we adjusted valuation. So I remember he told me, hustle up till Monday. Tell me if you got this amount of dollar or not. He was putting 70 something percent. So I had another 20 something percent to raise from Thursday afternoon till basically his Monday morning. Before pandemic, I was asking people to invest $100 million in our company. So I was going for $100 million check. And at that point, I started calling people for $100,000 check. And one of our investor, Chris, that I introduced you, he personally also invested like more money because he used to invest from another fund. And this is what happened. Like I called even people for like 50K. And I think Saturday night or something, Saturday evening or something, I got the money. And then you realize what means okay investors. I had investors that we made them over 100 times. And I messaged them, said, sorry, I cannot help you. I had investors that more than what they invested, they said, don't worry about it. We get the money for you. I had one of my investors that from China, he didn't have money in Canada. He borrowed money to invest in our company so we can close our round. I had investors that, um, you know, because they knew something's happening, they decided not to like react on it. And then 2 months later, they come said, hey, I'm sorry, can I do my pro rata right now? And you're like, seriously? But the good thing is I got mostly support from my current investors, and the whole money, that 25% left, my current investors, majority of it they put in, and they kind of like, I would say like they helped the round to close. And I'm so proud of like that, because I went from here to the bottom, and I get to the point that I was like literally to the edge of cry, because I was keep remembering 2016. I was like, how do I go in front of my employees and say, and now I need to like lay you guys off? It's like, I'm not going to do that. And I think we hot sold it up. We got a great support from our investors. They put the money in. Now probably is like 3 or 4 times their money they made since last March that they put money in. And yeah, that's the story. It kind of like, it was hard, man. Like it was hard. Like when I was thinking about like, I at that time I was like, why don't I have personal money? I should have been able to like put the money in the company to bail it out. I didn't have. And that was one of my mistakes, that maybe previously I never took any money off the table. Major thing that I can't save the company in a day like this. I was like, I have nothing. Like, and I had some money. It was in my mortgage. I was calling my bank on Friday. Hey, how much can you refinance? It's like, even if you do, it has to be new appraisal. We're not gonna be able to give you. So like, I have nothing. I have a company, $1 billion company. It might go to negativity of like layoff and then decline, versus this is the urge. Now everyone got hurt. I need to double up the team. I need to do a strong. And when we got the money, we turned the shaft to the positivity. We went to everyone, said, not only you're not gonna lay off, we're gonna go strong. And I think we hired half of the team since the day pandemic happened. And
Wow.
we get from like 300 something to like 750 now.
That's amazing. So I want to get into the team side of things here, because this ties right in. What is the key lesson here, right? Because young founder, I would say first time founder, first time raising, and then you hit this tough situation, and there's a few that stick with you. Looking back, what are some key traits or signals that projects what a good investor would be?
Every time I start with why, and I start with what it is, and in their eyes I can see if this guy connect or not. And when they don't connect, I'm like, you are bottom of the list. I still go to you if I really need the money and I need to survive. But I rather go with the people that when you tell them, said, do you understand if for every single graduate we have another 2 graduate, how beautiful the world would be? They're thinking about it, said, yeah, I want to bet on that future. I want to make that thing to happen. I want to make world a better place. I want to be part of this journey. And those people just give me energy. A good investor is an investor that when you're down, they behind you say, no, Martin, you could do it. Or like, Lloyd, you could do it. Don't give up. But think about it. Like, for example, we as founders have one of the hardest job in our company. Everyone, not even my company, I'm saying in any company, everyone looking for recognition, and recognition should always come from top to down. That's like normal. But rarely someone comes and said, hey, Lloyd, I want to appreciate you for being a good, like a founder or something, right? And you're kind of looking at, but when you go to your investors, they're looking at a strong, like well-suited, tie always, like type of professional CEOs that things are like stable. But we are humans too, man. Like we are like in our 30s or 20s and doing something. Like rarely happened that someone pick up a phone and said, hey, I just want to tell you how happy I am. They tell you like how happy I am, like invested or something. But sometimes like on your execution, it sometimes like it makes the job of the founders lonely. So when I see someone who connects with the founders in the personal level, and they're like, man, this is your journey. I want to be part of the journey. I want to do something. These are the people that when you're down and you feel bad about yourself or you're doubtful or something doesn't go wrong, you can call and just say, I think I have a very big problem and I don't know the solution. And you are not worried at that time they're going to judge you or they're going to bring like board. They're trying to just help you as a partner. Those are the good investors, people who you connect with them personally. That's my big things. I never went after the brand. I never like cared about, oh, this is XYZ. This is blah, blah. Look at my VC list. Artiman Ventures, Antos. Now Antos are like pretty famous. Like maybe the last round Drive and Index, they're very, very like well branded, but it happened because I connected with them, not because I wanted to go after XYZ brand. Don't take me wrong, I went to those brands too. Like a lot of them rejected us, but it wasn't ever a motivation of us that I need, for example, XVC to be our thing. Or like, I want to work. This is my life. I want to have fun. I want to like someone that I can call and text and do good, and they understand when I'm busy.
And that was a very good piece of advice when we spoke late last year as we were deciding, because that brand thing, when you're I live in San Francisco, for example, when you're still in the Silicon Valley, you're stuck in this bubble of big names and whatnot, and what really matters is do you connect, and are they passionate about it? Because throughout this conversation, the theme here even here is passion trumps transaction, passion transcends, relationship transcends. And I know as founders it's lonely and mental health is really important, so you want to be able to connect with people. And Chris a while ago typed that would back you and Lloyd every day of the week, humbled to be included. So those kinds of things are fantastic to hear here. Going into people, right? You went from 3 people to 80 people to 300 and then now 750 and growing by the minute. Did you have some sort of scaling formula, like after X people, maybe we'll move to a WeWork, then we'll buy an office? So like, how did you come up with like this level of scale? Is there some sort of formula?
I don't think there is a certain formula. You kind of have to believe in your people. Guys, I'm not hiring 700 people, right? My people hire the next level of people. You kind of have to trust them. Of course, you gotta be very good in like, I'm like the main thing, like the main KPIs of the business, the main like customer feedbacks, and those things I all on daily basis I check. I talk to people. I talk about challenges, but the rest of it you let the people go. The problem that ApplyBoard had from 2017 till now, we always had more customers than we could like serve. A lot of companies, so this formula works for us is like always like chase the problem solving thing. Some people have a different problem. They have the product, they have the service, but they don't have enough customers. So my advice for them might not be as good, because for us, it was like, we always had customers. We kind of knew what we have to do. It wasn't very hard to figure it out. Like the biggest problem is like how to make all of them happy, to address their issues on time, to like do the tickets on time and everything else. So I don't know. The formula for growth is be a good person, hire good people bring the next good people, and good people bring the next good people. And you know what happened when a company is that positivity? Even when negative people come in, they themselves push themselves out. Like you become such a positive thing that everyone come and they want to be negative and they want to be things, they can't because everyone around them are so positive. So the company push it out and you don't have to like do everything with a formula or something. And then more like immigrants and females and those things comes. Like look at like our diversity, 56% female and gender variant, 60% immigrants, right? 65% speaking another language. Think about it. How on earth we have people from 40 countries? How you could put people in 40 countries and there's no culture clash and stuff? The only thing that is between cultures are same is goodness, right? Being authentic about what you do, go to people, explain. If you made a mistake, go say, hey guys, I screwed it up. I'm 32 years old. I don't have all the answers in the world, and make the company a positive, and it's gonna take care of itself. Sometimes negativity happen and it's normal. Sometimes you make mistake, you go and say, I apologize. Sometimes you do something good and they don't understand it, so you try to explain it. And sometimes like there is something happen, you say, you know what? I'm not gonna focus on this because this is negativity. I have a better thing to address.
So it's a lot about communication and it's positivity. Basically, what I'm hearing is hire smart people that are positive, that are passionate, bought into your mission, and get out of their way, and they will bring the right people. So give them the vision and the mission and the metrics, and they will figure it out. Give them the autonomy to execute is what I'm sort of hearing here. Because now at 750 people, it's hard. So, at 750 people, what goals should CEOs set for themselves, right? How do you define success? What KPIs are you on top of?
It's a complex because from one side you have some, how many students, for example, you want to help? What are the geographies you want to be in place? How much of a human touch point you want to have in your product and how much automation you want to have? So we have those KPIs, but look at COVID. Our industry came down 77% and we've grown on that same industry. So those numbers at the end of the story really doesn't matter. Let me answer you by this one. There is a book by Bill Walsh called The Scores Take Care of Itself. If you read that book, it changed the whole methodology of like how you build a business. And the whole thing is like, you put the right process, you put the right people, you do something good, then the result comes. Don't worry about it. And that's how we kind of like running it. Like, again, be fluid, do the good thing, and whatever happen. And like, you don't have control in every single situation, right? At the end of the story, my biggest advice to whoever want to start a company or work in a startup, realize that people are people, they make mistakes. Things doesn't go well sometimes. And that's the opportunity of working in a startup or do a company, because you can learn way more when things are unstable, when things are exploding, when things doesn't have process. That's the opportunity of learning. And when it comes back to people, bring people who are positive, who align with your core values, who align with your mission, and who want to do something differently, who want to have impact in their life, who are not just chasing you because now you give the best stock option and your stock is the next big thing, right? Who chase you because they really believe this world should have something like this.
One thing is key here, because you've built a massive team. You're at the top now, 750 people. And you talked a lot about passion, mission, motivation, hiring great people. And it's a hard thing to do for a lot of people, right? How do you make sure everyone on your team is well aligned with the broader company mission, strategy, and goals? Like, how do you train an organization to make better decisions when you're not in the room?
So from the first line of the job description, when they're reading to apply, you talk about your mission. The day that they come to your company, the first thing they see on the wall is talking about, for example, for us is education is a right, not a privilege. Our mission is to make education accessible for all students around the world. You say it so many times. And now I realize this after years of saying it is people who don't like this, after you tell them 300 times and they see it everywhere, they actually go away from it themselves naturally. So mission not only is a magnet to bring the people who really believe in this, Also, it has a defense mode for people who they don't care, they're racist or something. Like if you are racist and you come to ApplyBoard, doesn't matter how good your performance is, soon you're gonna get pushed out. You can't, like, you cannot be in a meeting that there is an Indian with accent, Iranian with accent, like a Arab person, like a Muslim, Sikh, Jewish. You're not gonna be able to last that thing. Like one day you break down, said, this is not what I want. But if you are not racist, you will stay because you enjoy it. Now this is a place that you could have your nationality and your accent and your religion and everything and be proud of who you are. So that's all I wanted to say from that regard.
Yeah, definitely. And what I see is that some of the greatest companies do that, right? They start with a mission. People are bought in. They're mission-driven companies, and now, yeah, they're making a lot of money. It doesn't seem that way, and a lot of us get caught up with the transaction of it. Is let's run this experiment and let's optimize that. And next week we actually have Twilio CEO Jeff Lawson, and the last time he spoke at our in-person conference, he said one thing really important here. He's like, when you look at things as a transaction and optimize an A/B test to the nth degree, every site becomes a porn site. It's like, focus on the customer you're serving and your mission and let that be your primary guide. And I'm hearing that as a common theme between some of the greatest CEOs here. Martin, as you look back on your journey, some parting thoughts here. What do you wish you did more of, and what do you wish you did less of?
I'm very hard on myself, so maybe I would have been less hard on myself, and maybe that part I would do more, like just keep telling myself, hey, don't worry, it would be fine and stuff, and like I cannot change the history that I came from, right? I came from like bottom of the world, these movies you see, like there is a car running and people without shoes, they're running after the car. I came from like something like that. So like I sometimes tell people, if this is the poverty line, we were here. And sometimes we didn't want to go underneath, so we were pushing the line down. So because of that, like it's in my nature of like always like be hard on myself and try to be the best of the best. Maybe that's the only thing I would change. I don't know, man, like I made so many mistakes. If I want to tell you one by one of them at the company that I made mistake, I've said things that I should have not said. I've done things that I should have not done. I started the bad cultures that I should have not done. But at the same time, I've said good things. I've said things. At the end of the story, if you want to count it, I don't know, call it 60-40, right? 60% good, 40% bad. If I go back, I said, don't worry about it. 60-40 is still acceptable. You still pass. Don't worry about the result of it. Just do what your heart is telling you to do. Again, like I'm getting to that realization of saying, right now for me, this is not a company anymore. It's a movement. What's the most beautiful thing? I start seeing this like mock-ups that happening. Someone like like a one-page website, they kind of put it online. You know what I love about it? Every single one of them copy paste our mission. And when you see the copycats start copy pasting your mission, it gives you a good heart to say, oh my God, if these guys are also believing in what I believe the world should be, we're going to be such a good place, because now we started the movement. It's not a business anymore. And I believe ApplyBoard already is a movement. Like we changed entirely our industry, how schools, we made a school so much more responsive because now there is a competition between them. We made counselors way more respectful to the students. We brought the respect and the standard up in our industry. Even financial or whatever happened to ApplyBoard, I'm proud of what we've done. We made world a better place.
You know what? That is probably the best parting thought we could get. If you're passionate about your mission and your whole company believes in it, your mission, and you can turn that mission into a movement, you'll not only be extremely happy and have a happy life, but you'll also build a massive company. Martin, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for all the advice. Thank you for joining us today. This was fantastic.
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for having me.
I need some traction.